Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Hero Hey is back at it again with another development when it comes to this VA drama. And I'm going to be entirely real with you. I know a lot of the VA drama has been centered around, obviously, right, Paimon's VA, because they're absolutely ridiculous on TikTok. They're absolutely ridiculous with all the clips that they've said were AI when they're not really AI. And they were, of course, right, first mentioned in it by being one of the first people to shit on Jacob Takanashi. However, there's one VA that I feel like did honestly, way worse when it came to this entire situation. And that was Keqing's. That was Kaylee Mills, Keqing's VA. And they did some really parasocial shit. They did a lot of really nasty stuff in the public that ended up with them deleting their own Twitter. And then, of course, coming back at a later point because they had some professional stuff they needed to do. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of people still aren't very happy with her because she did a lot of fucked up stuff. And so with that, let's just go ahead and get right on into it and see how a Genshin VA just apologized, and it's not going very well.
Welcome back, guys. I've had a lot of people tagging me too. Kaylee Mills apology over on Twitter. Thank you all for the tags. We're here over on the Genshin Impact subreddit, though, from this post from 14 hours ago titled Kaylee Mills Public Apology, because the first thing I want to show you is an example of the top comments here. For example, this one that says, "It sounds to me like she had to make a public apology. She may or may not have gotten a stern warning by her overlords. This is what makes the most sense, because the apology isn't even genuine. Going by her wordage, she's, quote, not sorry she did it, she's sorry she got caught."
I would just be a little bit wary. I always try to have at least a little bit of skepticism about the types of things that people say in these really highly upvoted comments. Because it's really easy, right, on platforms like Reddit to have like these really highly upvoted posts that are like super negative, that are painting a certain narrative, that people will just like look at and see that they're highly upvoted. And because it slightly agrees with maybe some of the preconceptions that they have going into it, they'll just keep upvoting it. And that can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing. But in a lot of situations, just make sure to like have like a grain of salt, you know, heading on into it. Because she has built up a really negative rep. And it might be that this actually isn't what's going on. But we'll see. We'll be the judges of that one.
Unquote. Got caught. Unquote. As the saying goes. Another top response saying, quote, "Although I was far from the first person to make a response," unquote. "Yeah, we know. Ruining your own apology in 2 sentences by deflecting like this is wild."
That's why you ask for proof, right? That's why it's good to have proof. That's why it's good to have like a direct quotation for why something in the apology is really, really fucking off. Yeah, because that's probably not very good.
In other words, the top responses are all people calling her out, basically saying in their own words that they don't view this apology as genuine in any way, shape, or form. So you can say it's not really going well. Of course, we're going to read the full apology as well, but really quick, how did we get here? Well, as we discussed the other day, it looks like Kaylee Mills had publicly tweeted at Jacob Takanashi back in 2022, where Jacob Takanashi was talking about a Japanese company that he's working with to dub a bunch of romance manga and visual novels for YouTube.
Wait, she reached out to him for help? She reached out to him several years ago for help for getting a job? And then she proceeded to backstab him? She like backstabbed him and then dragged his name through the mud because of the Keniche thing? Damn, I guess I know what this feels like. Yeah, she's a rat. Looks like we found another rat. Why are there so many rats in the gacha space? You have rat content creators, you have rat theory crafters, and now you have rat VAs. Maggie Mills. That's crazy. That's crazy. Maggie Mills.
And line, and that he's looking for an English-speaking female voice talent. If anyone's interested, to drop their demos below, and he'll forward that stuff to the hiring director, to which Kaylee Mills said, "Hi Jacob, I speak quite a bit of Japanese and have done heaps of dubbing and other character work. Thanks for your consideration."
That's so nasty.
But then, fast forward to 2025, March 26th, where Jacob Takanashi announces that Hoyo has hired him as the role of Kenichi, and Kaylee Mills had a different tune.
I can't believe that we didn't know about that interaction in 2022. That's insane. That paints so much of this in so much more of a negative light. It's actually absurd. This makes it look so much worse. It's almost unbelievable how bad this is.
Saying this is actually kinda diabolical. If you need the money, at least take the role uncredited. This just comes off as an easy cash grab for clout. It's not a good look. To which she got this community note that reads, According to the voice actor Nathan Noakes, fellow VA Jacob Takanashi, who is a Japan-based VA, had no knowledge of the strike or the circumstance of which the role was being recasted. Now, really hoping you're familiar with this whole strike situation or collective work refusal situation.
She didn't get the job? You're saying this is her vengeance because she directly responded to Jacob's tweet talking about the role and she didn't end up getting one of those, so this is her vengeance? Hey, maybe. Maybe Jacob fucked her over. Hey, right? Maybe Jacob actually sabotaged that potential role over in like the dubbing space. And so this is just Kaylee's revenge. Hey, we never thought about it that way, did we, guys?
Because if you're not, there's like, yeah, even more to recap that we're not going to recap here. It'd be way too redundant. But I can give a very quick TLDR. And if you want the actual fine details, please check out the playlist I have of all my videos covering this situation. I'll link it in the description for you. All those videos combined have like easily over 2 million plus views. So thank you all for your continued support during this ongoing coverage. Okay, so on to the TLDR. And if you're familiar with this stuff, feel free to skip to about the 3-minute and 45-second mark. A bunch of entitled VAs from the SAG-AFTRA union claim to be striking against Hoyoverse, demanding what they're calling protections against AI.
Yes, 1,000,000%.
They tried to get the fandom and the internet to fight on their behalf, but people looked into this over the course of many months and found out that the AI claim was really just a Trojan horse, as the union VAs had other goals that they were not telling the public.
Like making Genshin Impact a union game. Making Genshin Impact a union game, despite the fact that Genshin is in China. And that non-union VAs would be in a very, very rough situation. They also hid the fact that union VAs aren't even supposed to work on non-union projects in the first place. They weren't even supposed to work on non-union projects in the first place, which Genshin was. And so all these union VAs saying that the game needs to turn union, well, they were breaking their own fucking rules.
Such as trying to flip all Hoyoverse games to be union-only games, which could lead to the non-union talent being forcibly removed from those games, and their roles then being taken from them and given to union VAs.
It literally just sounds like an elite club, right? It sounds like an elite club where it's just like, hey, pay in, give us that $3,000 fee, and we're going to break your legs financially.
Many of the union executives and members also making disparaging remarks to people who are not a part of their union. On top of that, it also turned out that these union VAs were lying about the strike and that it was actually what's being called a collective work refusal. Well, the VA for Keqing and Genshin Impact refused to work for around 6 months to stand with those union VAs. Hoyo eventually...
And you want to know what else has apparently happened in ZZZ? I've heard that in Xenoblade Sen 0, they have recast Koleda, Grace, and Rina because they were kind of doing the same thing. Not working because of that collective strike, because ZZZ already has AI protections built into its contracts. They were just not working. So yeah, I think they're slowly starting to get phased out. I think Hoyo just doesn't care anymore. I think Hoyo just does not care anymore about it. And unfortunately, due to the actions of Kaylee Mills, due to the action of Paimon, Valeria Rodriguez, all these people that were very outspoken of this entire strike, Hoyo is free to recast whoever they really want. I don't think the public will care at all about any action that Hoyo takes regarding voices in the future. So this is like a huge, massive win for Hoyoverse on a scale that doesn't make, like, it's a complete victory for Hoyo. And the player base is entirely on Hoyo's side regarding everything going on over here. And like, it makes me think it was an inside job.
Actually replaced this guy 6 months later, and Jacob Takanashi was the replacement VA that they hired. When Jacob posted about his new role, a bunch of the union VAs and their bootlickers openly harassed him, said they were blacklisting him, and a bunch of other terrible stuff, including Kaylee, as you can see. And when fandoms pushed back against the toxic VAs and also pointed out their lies, the toxic VAs and their supporters then attacked the fans. Now returning to Kaylee as we finish up the context on the way to reading her apology from late yesterday. Kaylee Mills had also gotten backlash for this comment where she said, "I guarantee you Keqing," that's the character she voices on Genshin, "would be doing the work to educate people and do what's best for the people."
Over here pretending to cosplay her Genshin Impact role on Twitter. This has to be one of the most cringe things I've ever seen. This is one of the most cringe things I've ever seen. Like, she's not real. Keqing is not a real person. They're a fucking 2D PNG.
This being just one example of many, many examples where a lot of these VAs have been gaslighting the public, acting like what's in their best interest is really what's best for everyone, which has been verifiably incorrect. This was another take that got Kaylee immense backlash, so much that if I recall, she deleted this entire tweet.
Oh, this was bad. This was so bad. It was unbelievable. This was the moment for me that cemented her as the worst individual involved. The thing is, I don't even think Paimon's VA is the worst person involved. Karina, I don't think she's the worst person involved in here because I just assume that Karina has a problem. I think Kaylee Mills is like a very like normal person. She's just a fucking asshole. She's just like actually an asshole for this one.
Where she was essentially trying to justify Karina, the VA for Paimon, and someone who seems to be in their clique of VAs, continuing to work on Genshin, which goes against their strike, but trying to justify her doing that while justifying their attacks on Jacob Takanashi, saying, Jacob's done very little VO work, so it isn't what he's relying on to pay the bills. For all we know, his wife's the breadwinner.
Would Keqing do this? Would Keqing say something like this? Would Keqing go after somebody's marriage and imply that he's an absolute bum and contributes nothing to the finances? Would Keqing do that, Maggie Mills?
Either way, they bought a house recently, so I doubt it was a necessary job for survival. So that take was already terrible by default, but the part where she brings in his personal matters is something that specifically also got her even more backlash, making an already terrible post even worse. I think there were a few more things she said about Jacob, bad things obviously, but you get the point. So skipping ahead now to a video I made 2 days ago, this was another important update, and then we'll take a look at the apology right after this. You've pretty much got all the context more or less. On the Kaylee part, at least. So on the game NIKKE, Kaylee voices the character Rappy, who I think people said is like the main character. I don't play NIKKE, but I believe that's what people said. It's like either a main character or the main character of the game. And a few days ago, they had a live stream for 2.5, I think it was.
I heard this was I heard this had some issues. Some big issues, actually.
Like an event going on for 2.5. And on the live stream, when
nobody screen capped it, but it's on record that Kaylee Mills doxed Jacob to obtain his private financial records. She gloated about it and quickly deleted it. Okay, I think that's just, at that point, that's an unconfirmed rumor. If true, that's crazy, but I don't think there's any proof of that, right?
Kaylee Mills' character came in, and you can see it says Kaylee Mills right here. The chat was filled with people roasting her, mocking her, demanding that she gets replaced, throwing tomatoes at her, just all kinds of stuff like...
Oh, that's not good. I remember saying multiple times, ladies and gentlemen, that she kind of ruined her career after she went into the whole like house thing, the wife's the breadwinner thing, all of that stuff, because this was going to follow her. Yeah, what she did was so unacceptable. What she did was like so ridiculously fucking cringe and just like absolutely out of line that this is something that will 1,000,000% like follow her for maybe the rest of her career. Because like you went to the point where you just started like harassing somebody for something so like minor and like not worth it.
I'm skipping through my coverage now. I know it's like I'm not talking here because I'm off screen, like that's me from 2 days ago. This is me now. Sorry,
motherfucker.
That looks weird, but you get the point. So as mentioned, the chat was just filled with people demanding that she gets recast. Okay. With all that context, we're here over on Kaylee's apology from April 21st, yesterday. She says, "To be honest, I have been advised against getting further involved in the situation at all, but I feel like this is the right thing to do."
Honestly, it probably makes sense to make a bit more of a public statement after a game that wasn't involved in Genshin Impact, and Keqing wasn't involved either, started getting shit on because of your actions in the Genshin Impact space. Yeah, you could clearly see like something turned in her head where she was just like, God damn it. Oh, yeah, we gotta nip this one in the bud.
So here we are. First of all, I realized my criticism of Jacob should never have been public, although I was far from the first person to make a response. Further involving fans was not necessary and only caused more strife.
Honestly, the apology is pretty late. She should have dropped this instead of deleting her Twitter. I think she should have dropped like an actual good apology instead of deleting her own Twitter. If I'm frankly being honest.
I also apologize for bringing up the public tweet I saw in passing about him purchasing a home. It was wrong of me to use that as an argument, that he didn't need this one job to make ends meet.
So it's okay as long as it was not public? Wait, what does that have to do with anything? I think that her not apologizing for like basically almost a month, right? Several weeks about this issue where she fucked up tremendously by like talking about his marriage and like house. Yeah, I was saying like, I believe there was a quicker apology in order for that one. Yeah.
I was frustrated trying to explain a point, and honestly, none of that is any of my business.
Absolutely.
I don't want it to be, and it didn't matter to the point I was trying to make at all. I did send him a message privately on April 2nd to apologize about getting the public further involved and explain why we were upset.
Yeah, that probably wasn't good enough.
Also, that at least personally, there are no feelings of hatred or any hopes of ill will personally or professionally.
That's a lie.
Wow, yeah, it sure means a lot when you say that privately, but then publicly had things that definitely make it seem like there's ill will there and hatred there, but okay. Or any hopes of ill will personally or professionally. I do not know him, but I thought about what I would do if a friend or close colleague did something I found hurtful to our community, and I would have indeed not responded publicly. I would have confronted them directly. Although I originally had a much longer statement, and I'm interested in clearing up more of the misinformation I see about our refusal to work versus the official SAG strike, etc. I don't want to further involve any specific actor. The overall situation is so much bigger and more nuanced than this, and I hope in the future we can have a better conversation.
I hate when people do this. They're like, it's too complicated. Yeah, this whole thing that I've been like caught, like, basically like lying about, and like this whole thing that like, like I'm in like hot water for. You guys just don't understand. There's just so much stuff going on. There's so many moving parts. Like, it's so nuanced. You guys would just never understand. And like, okay, like, can you like help us? Like, can you literally say anything helpful other than it's too complicated to talk about? How does that help anything? It makes you look like you're simply not able to understand yourself, and because you don't understand, you're saying that we won't. Honestly, in a way, it is like questioning your intelligence to a degree, because yeah, it is kind of just like questioning your intelligence to a degree, this whole situation going on over here.
In the meantime, I'm doing the work behind the scenes to try and support my community the best that I can. In the immediate responses, you can actually see that she added on to her apology from just 3 hours ago, saying, "Me not being the first to say something doesn't make it more okay. I'm sorry that was clumsily worded."
Me not being the first to say something doesn't make it more okay. I'm sorry. I feel like I lost like 50 IQ. I'm trying to understand what that means. Like, my head hurts after reading that. Me being the first to say something makes it... Oh, my head hurts. Can anyone in chat know what she's trying to say? I agree it's clumsily worded. I have no idea what the fuck else is going on with whatever the hell else she just said. What the hell? I'm confused. Let's keep playing.
But then we got a bit of duality here from Mujin and Tectone. Mujin saying, "This is a step in the right direction." Other VAs who lashed
She's apologizing for saying that her not being the first was some sort of excuse. Oh, okay. She needs to take a writing class.
out publicly and unprofessionally should follow. However, it'll take a long time before any sort of public trust is restored. Y'all had many chances to take a step back during the chaos, but chose only to double down. With Tectone saying, "That's gonna be a yikes for me, dog," and
who the fuck is this dude? Like, everyone always says that this guy just looks like a nice, like a nice version of Tectone. Like, he does too, right? He has like less wrinkles, like his eyes just look like softer, his beard looks like fuller, that Paimon actually looks like happy. Is this AI?
posting this extremely cursed picture.
Like, this looks like just a friendly version of Tectone.
Scrolling on from those, other comments right at the top read, "This is a good first step. However, it's going to take a real long time for people to forgive. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that at least this is one step in the right direction." And another similarly also saying it's a step in the right direction. However, other comments were a bit more critical. For example, this one that says, "We all know you're only apologizing because you got wrecked and destroyed because you were a terrible person."
Are they wrong? Are they wrong about that one? I don't think they're wrong about that one. I feel like that's kind of the right take. I feel like he's out of line, but yeah, I do feel like that's just the right take in this circumstance, yeah.
Any apology after something like that just seems disingenuous and insincere. No thanks. You should just fade away into obscurity. And I hope all of you insufferable toxic VAs trying to cancel each other get replaced by AI. The damage is done, and you got what you wanted, and this apology sounds like BS spewed for legal reasons. Right below that, another one saying, "So you're not apologizing for the things you said, you apologize for the fact that you made it public? And your justification for having made it public was that you weren't the first person to make a response?"
Oh. So somebody else did it first, and so she was like, okay, because somebody else made it public, I'm good to make it public now. Gotcha. Okay. I'm beginning to see. My third eye is beginning to open, and I'm slowly able to understand whatever the fuck Kaylee Mills was trying to say in the first place. Yeah, okay, holy shit. That was confusing. Oh my gosh, we've got the glue.
And this one's saying, yeah, nah. I can't support someone who thinks double standards are a good thing. And if Genshin/Hoyoverse truly was going to use AI, y'all swear they might use, they would have used it already. But guess which character was still voiceless during Lantern Rite out of respect? There's also an immense irony with that.
Keqing?
They'll be like, oh yes, they just want to replace all of us with AI. But they're literally mad and harassing Jacob Takanashi because he got hired. And guess what? He's not an AI, he's a human. In other words, Hoyoverse hired a human actor to voice their character. They didn't just replace John Patnois, the Prior of Ye, with AI. But
Striking for AI gets mad when human gets replaced by human. Striking for AI protections gets mad when human gets replaced by human. Based.
hey, they'll still try and find a reason to harass Jacob Takanashi for replacing this guy who refused to work for like 6 months. Oh wait, he's not a part of our clique. You're not supposed to just hire someone from outside our clique to replace us when we're refusing to work for 6 months. It's not supposed to work like that, shocked Pikachu. Now you're
Yeah, you gotta hire somebody else so that they can skip work. Yeah, you can't fire that guy and replace them. You need to hire one of our friends, and they're not gonna work either. On their first day of the job, they're not gonna show up. You need to hire that guy.
undermining our manipulative Trojan horse strike. How diabolical. Here are a few more comments to take a look at, and I'll share my opinion right now. Of course, as I mentioned before, form your own opinion, but here's mine. I do not believe this is a sincere apology. I think it's very, very much suspicious that this apology comes 2 days after, I think like 2 days, around 2 days after the NIKKE live stream.
Yeah, it's a little bit too planned. It's a little bit too scheduled for me to feel authentic. I feel like there was like a special, like critical moment in the flow of all of this stuff to like for her to make an apology, and that was quite kind of soon after her whole like fucking house watching, like pocket watching of Jacob. That was just weird. The pocket watching shit was so weird, it was unbelievable. And that was like kind of one of those moments where it should have happened. Yeah, and it was delayed a very long time, and then it conveniently the apology comes out after she got bagged on in her NIKKE live stream
that we discussed earlier in the video. To me, it really comes off like Kaylee may have thought it was bad enough when she got backlash from the Hoyoverse community, but maybe in her mind she was thinking like, oh, I still have the NIKKE community who's gonna have my back.
Yeah, because I play the main character. I play the main character in that game. Of course they're gonna love me. I'm so perfect.
And then when she sees that she's also getting recast demands and backlash from the NIKKE community too, she's like, okay, I gotta do something about this. Gotta do something. Let's make an apology. Now, I'm not just saying this because of those reasons either. It's very important to understand that voice actors make a significant amount of their income from
Sounds like they need to hire Maggie. Oh, so they can have like worse apologies. Oh yeah, maybe.
convention appearances where they do things like signing autographs, selling merchandise and stuff like that. Now, of course, that therefore then means that they're going to need people who want to buy their autographs, signing events, you know, want pictures with them, everything like that. In other words, if Kaylee Mills has upset a lot of people online and lost a lot of people who otherwise would have enjoyed meeting her at conventions and buying merch and, you know, helping her get financial income that way, she's becoming more and more desperate to make what could be seen as a fake apology to try and win some goodwill back because her financial situation really depends on it. This meaning that there's a financial incentive for her to come out with damage control on top of it just being an appeal to the public goodwill.
I think a good part of it was the fact that she just deleted her own Twitter shortly after the house incident. Was there any recognition in her apology of the fact that she did that? Like she just straight up deleted it, right? Went private, archived it, reactivated it later, that whole sort of thing.
And an attempt at like, what's it called? Putting out the fire, so to speak. That's like more of the behind the scenes stuff. There's the other obvious part as well, which is she probably doesn't want to get recast as Keqing and Genshin and Rappy from NIKKE. Another factor could be, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she also does Twitch streaming. This is another thing that would rely on having people who enjoy her content. And if everyone's upset at her and doesn't want to support her, this again could be another factor into her making a potentially fake apology.
Oh, that's not good.
However, I also have what in my opinion is even more evidence supporting what I'm saying here, especially the timing part and the whole NIKKE part, as that takes us over to, can you guess where? Blue Sky. I figured you guys might guess that one because I've been digging up a lot of stuff on Blue Sky lately, as you've probably noticed from my prior videos. Hopefully you've been watching those. Hopefully you've been enjoying those. But now we're going to take a look at this one from Kaylee.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Not this fucking website again. Oh, God forbid this website. I'm telling you, everyone that uses this is a self-containment zone for the absolute biggest losers on the internet. I say this every single time whenever I see this goddamn webpage. And the thing is, I don't even hate Blue Sky. I think Blue Sky is amazing because what it means is that they're essentially quarantined from the rest of the public. It's essentially quarantined from the rest of the goddamn public. If you want to lose IQ points, this is one of the best websites to do that.
Kaylee Mills from 11 days ago. You can see she had said, "Just wanted to hop on to say thank you for the well wishes. I hope everyone has been protecting their peace as necessary. I'm doing okay. My Twitter is temporarily deactivated. I didn't make a statement because I didn't want to feel obligated to respond to anything else." And then saying this, "I have lots of thoughts and feelings, but I'm ruminating on them while the fire dies down. I may post my statement at a later time if it still seems like the right thing to do."
Imagine losing the NIKKE protagonist role for an irrelevant standard Keqing role. I wonder which one pays more. I wonder which one actually pays more, to be honest.
That was back on April 10th. So you're telling me that 11 days after she made the Blue Sky post that we just read, that's when she decides to make this apology. Conveniently, 2 days after the NIKKE live stream, where she got even backlash from the NIKKE community. She just so happened to feel like, oh, this is the right thing to do now. Yeah, I wonder why.
You guys think the NIKKE one plays more? Okay, that would make a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff would make a lot more sense if the NIKKE one does pay more. Maybe she didn't even care if she got recasted from Genshin. Maybe that wasn't something that she actually even cared about.
For the record, and I'm not sure if this is really significant at all, but I'll mention it just because it is additional context. She only posted her apology on Twitter. She did not post to Blue Sky. Again, I'm not sure if that has any relevance or not. Make of that part what you will. And now I'd like to go back to the Genshin Impact subreddit to the apology post that we were reading, because let's play a little game. Let's have fun and see how long it takes to go through the top comments and see ones that are supportive of her. It's
gonna be a fun game if you're not her, but probably not a fun one if she was the one playing.
That believe this is a good apology. Once again on that post, sorting by best. I believe we read the first 2 comments already. So continuing. I'm not checking out all the responses too, you know. Let's see just like the base comments. So to summarize, "I'm sorry I insulted you publicly. I should have done it in private. Is that right?"
Oh no.
"I know I shouldn't publicly harass Jacob, but I was not the first one."
Oh no.
Lol, they can never fully accept accountability. 1,000 excuses for all they do. Loved when on NIKKE stream, everyone was asking for a recast of her. Honestly, this feels more like a PR safe reflection than a real apology. She buries the actual "I'm sorry" under a paragraph of "I was advised not to speak here, but I am." Like, just say what you did wrong and own it.
"I'm actually breaking all of the rules to send you all this message. I'm breaking so many rules writing this apology to you guys, so you better like it." That's kind of how it reads, right?
Also, bringing up the private DM is weirdly performative. Yeah, it's something these VAs love, right? They're very performative people. If it was private, why mention it now? Just let the action speak for itself, and saying the situation is nuanced without clarifying anything feels like she's trying to shift focus off her own mistake and back onto a vague moral high ground. Yep, that's another thing these sort of people love to do. They love to seem morally virtuous and superior to others. It's just like I was discussing way earlier in this video with this tweet that she made about the whole like, "I guarantee you Keqing would be doing the work to educate people and do what's best for the people." How she was
I hate that so much. Ooh, the one thing I hate the most is when VAs are like pretending that they're their characters. When VAs pretend that they're their characters, like on social media and stuff, I'm like, oh, stop it. Oh, stop it.
Trying to frame the Union VA's best interest as like what's best for the people, implying like, oh, all the people, this is great for everyone. It's not. It's just them being manipulative. All this apology is missing is an apology.
Man, the Genshin Impact subreddit has some zingers. I'll give them that one. The Genshin Impact subreddit does in fact have some zingers.
I also apologize for bringing up the public tweet I saw in passing about him purchasing a home. LMAO, she's not sorry about her behavior. She's sorry she's being called out. She apologized. Oh, excuse me. 1, she apologized way too late. The damage has already been done. 2, if Jacob doesn't accept her apology, I frankly don't care. He's the one most hurt by her actions anyway, not me.
Honestly, he's well within his rights to kind of like tell her to go fuck herself, right? But I'm pretty sure Jacob is going to be a bit of a nicer dude about the whole situation. The fact that he's kept like so much radio silence when it would be incredibly easy for him to just, I don't know, dunk on somebody at any opportunity. Bro has like so much street cred and like clout that like he kind of could just, honestly, bro could gun somebody down on 5th Street.
Me personally, this one just saying, wow. Let's be honest, the damage is already done. Not, I was wrong to attack Jacob. She said, I shouldn't have made my attacks public. Wow, when is she being replaced? Oh, and then we've got a long comment, but I gotta click view more. 1 second, it's gotta load. Okay. So this is someone saying that they improved her apology for her. Let's take a look. First of all, I realized my criticism of Jacob should have never been public. Involving fans was not necessary and only caused more strife. I also apologize for bringing up the tweet I saw in passing about him purchasing a home. It was wrong of me to use that as an argument that he didn't need this one job to make ends meet. None of that is any of my business. I don't want it to be. And it didn't matter to the point I was trying to make at all. I did send him a message privately on April 2nd to apologize about getting the public further involved and explain why we were upset. Also that, at least personally, there are no feelings of hatred or any hopes of ill will personally or professionally. I don't know him, but I thought about what I would do if a friend or close colleague did something I found hurtful to our community, and I would have indeed not responded publicly. I would have confronted them directly.
Not bad. Not bad. We got an apology expert. They got a PhD in how to unfuck your fuck-ups.
The user saying, improved it for her. 3 out of 10 apology. See me after class. I genuinely still hope all of the people who attacked him get fired. The next comment reading.
What was that final line, bro? That's crazy.
I'm sorry you're mad. How can a grown woman be this pathetic? This reads as extremely performative and as, I'm saying this only for you to piss off. PR failed hard here. When speaking an apology, how you say it matters the most. When it's written, what is said is the most important. If she spoke this but sounded appropriately apologetic, then it would likely have gone just fine. This, though in writing, just sounds completely the opposite. She doesn't sound sorry at all, nor like she accepts accountability in any way. Wasn't she the one saying, being on the right side of history feels nice? Oh my gosh, yeah, that was one of the ones I forgot to show earlier. I don't think I showed that one. I knew there was some other comments I was forgetting that she made, or like tweets that she made. Yeah, so you can see right here, Valeria Rodriguez, the VA for Sucrose, said, lost 400 followers for a couple of thumbs down and calling out entitlement in a fan base. Oh well, it is what it is. I appreciate everyone who's thought critically and supports what's going on and has integrity. This article actually put it really eloquently. And linking to an article on PC Gamer talking about the backlash that Jacob got, but essentially like justifying it and siding with the union VAs. This is something I covered weeks ago, pointing out how terrible that article was and how it just had overtly false information as well, which actually gets community noted here. So yeah, you can see they say, the article lied and said John Patton had been voicing Kanish for 5 years. Kanish first debuted in the game 6 months ago, and John had only voiced him for one patch, 6 weeks. Genshin Impact itself isn't
This article was written by AI, 1 million
years old yet. So yeah, it's basically what I said in my video too. Hilarious this community note got added. And that takes us to Kaylee Mills' response, where Kaylee Mills said, thank you for speaking up, being on the right side of...
That's not good. That's minus 1,000 aura. That is a minus 1,000 aura moment right there. Apologizing after saying, being on the right side of history feels nice. Ooh, that is a 1,000,000% minus 1,000 aura moment, guys. Ooh, fuck.
History feels nice. Bro, oh my gosh.
I feel like the reaction to that is like universal, bro. I feel like the reaction to that has to be universal. It's like it's a language that everybody can understand.
So yeah, I think it's going to be too jarring for me to include all this context back earlier in the video with the other stuff to include like this response and everything, unfortunately. But If you made it this far in the video, thank you. And yeah, there's something else crazy. And one final thing that I'll point out here is the irony of Valeria Rodriguez talking
Oh, yeah. This is an AI article. And the original strike purpose, right, was about AI protections.
about critical thinking and sharing an article that has overtly false information. Anyways, guys, back over to Reddit, continuing our game, the game of how long it takes to find a positive comment actually supporting Kaylee Mills' apology.
Oh, I didn't even know we were still playing that game. I thought we already lost.
And I actually don't have time to continue this game.
I gotta go to dinner, guys. I gotta go to my kid's soccer practice. We can't keep playing this one. Got a World of Warcraft raid. We can't keep playing this one. Sorry, boys.
I gotta go soon. It's gonna take a while to upload this video and everything. So yeah, so far we haven't seen a positive comment. And scrolling now, not even reading, just scrolling, and I still don't see any of them. So yeah, I guess I'll call it there.
That's insane.
Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the coverage. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel.
All right, yeah, that was hilarious. This might be the funniest coverage that I feel like Hero Hey has done on this matter, because I'm gonna be honest here. Yeah, there's just so many like bombs, so many revelations, and like that game at the end where we're looking for just like one positive comment and we literally can't find a single one in like 10 minutes is fucking crazy. But yeah, that's why, and hopefully you see my perspective now when I said that what Kaylee did was like in a lot of ways worse, if not equal to, right? The whole thing going on with Paimon. I still think hers is really bad. And yeah, that apology, I gave her a little bit of a benefit of the doubt at the start, but yeah, it's pretty goddamn stinky. So with that, let me know what you all think. Peace.